Introduction to Music Theory, Module 1. Musical content is placed and organized on the staff. Staff consists of 5 parallel, equally spaced lines of same length. Staff holds a variety of musical symbols, all necessary to write and read music. We can say that the primary musical content on the staff consists of clefs, treble, bass, alto, key signature, time signature, notes as specific pitches, notes as specific durations, rests as durations of silence between notes, accidentals, sharps, flats, and naturals, and bar lines at the very beginning, between measures, and a double bar line at the end of a piece. To precisely determine the way of performance of notes from the primary musical content, other types of symbols are used. Tempo indicates the speed of performance through markings like presto, allegro, moderato, and others. Dynamics, the loudness or softness, is indicated by symbols like piano, pianissimo, mezzo forte, forte, fortissimo, crescendo, and decrescendo. Articulation is presented by slurs over several notes that suggest legato, connected playing. And a dot above or below the note head implies staccato, detached playing. We can say that these symbols on or around staff constitute secondary musical content in a role of surface design. The first item placed on the staff is clef. Treble clef is used for higher ranges, bass clef for lower ranges, and alto clef is used in some specific situations. For example, the string instrument viola is always notated in alto clef. Treble clef is also called G clef. It starts on the second line from the bottom and demarcates note G. There are several ways of writing treble clef. I favor the one shown here that starts from the dot on the second line because it enforces its G designation. The bass clef is also called F clef. It also starts on the second line, but from the top, mirror-like from the treble clef. It is written easier than treble clef and it features 2 dots on the right side. It demarcates note F, thus the name F clef. Now, we've all heard of the middle C, the pitch in the middle range and the key in the middle of the keyboard. Look at the distances between this middle C going up to G, where the treble clef starts, and down to F, where the bass clef starts. In both directions, the created interval is that of a perfect fifth. Thus, initial notes of these 2 clefs, G for treble and F for bass, are at the same distance from the middle C. This will come up useful down the road as part of the fundamental concept in music called the circle of fifths. Now let's put all of these items in order on the staff. First comes the beginning bar line, then the clef, followed by the key signature, and lastly, time signature. If you run out of space and need a second system, repeat the clef and key signature but not time signature. Time signature is written only at the beginning unless there is a change of meter during the piece. After the initial symbols comes the main content, notes. Notes as pitches have alphabetical letter names and their corresponding solfege syllables and scale degrees. The notes have alphabetical names, but we won't start here from A. We will start from that already mentioned middle C, here shown on the piano and in treble and bass clefs. Notes and their letter names shown here in treble clef represent the scale of C major. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and the repeated C. Notice that the initial middle C or C4 is not placed on the staff, but it requires a ledger line. Below is the same C major scale in bass clef. Letter note names are the same, but the placement of notes is different because we are in different clef. The last note in bass clef, repeated C, is again outside the staff on a ledger line. I recommend studying order of notes and their letter names in this manner, and a couple of slides ahead you'll see why. You can, however, choose to memorize all the notes located on lines and those located in spaces in both clefs. We learn different ways, so pick the strategy that suits you. The 5 lines on the staff do not accommodate all the notes, so ledger lines are used. Ledger lines are short lines parallel to the lines of staff above or below. Notes are written through the line or above and below the last ledger line. In other words, note head should always be the last item written. Look at the examples below. The left one shows notes written using ledger lines in a correct fashion. The one on the right shows an incorrect example. Look at the framed note placed below the second ledger. It is followed by another ledger line which serves no purpose. Thus, this is incorrect. Here are notes on ledger lines above and below staff in both clefs and their letter names. If containing more than one part, music may be written in 2 systems, connected at the beginning by a line and bracket. Bar lines go through both systems as well as the double bar line. This is called the grand staff. This is the grand staff with C major spanning through 4 octaves. There are 5 Cs here: C2, C3, middle C or C4, C5, and C6. Look at how symmetrical this picture is. Focus on the middle C, written in treble clef on the first ledger below and in bass on the first ledger above the staff. Then move out to the next pair of Cs, to the left and right. They are both notated in the second space. In bass clef, second space from bottom. In treble, second space from top. And then move to the last pair of Cs. They are also both located on the second ledger line, in treble above and in bass below the staff. Fixing these 5 Cs on the staff can ease your orientation. Once you can locate all 5 Cs and you know the 7 note letter names in order, you can navigate through the grand staff. Proper notation refers to both heads and stems. If stems are up, they are placed on the right side of the note. If the stem is down, it is on the left side. But how do we know when should the stem go up and when down? The main, but not the only criterion, is the middle line on the staff. That is the third line from both directions. If the note head is below the middle line, the stem goes up. If the note head is above the middle line, the stem goes down. And here is an example of the other criterion. The framed note B is once written with stem down and then with stem up. The reason is that the first time it is beamed to the downstemmed note and followed by several notes above the third line, thus with stems down. The second B is beamed to and preceded by notes with stems up. In both situations, the applied right solution is to follow the flow of surrounding notes.